Good evening. I'll call to order the workshop for May 9th, 2022, and call on Kristen Rush for roll call. Got to be fast with this group, especially when there's a hockey game tonight.
Here.
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 Very good. Mr. Devon, it looks like we've got one item for a workshop tonight.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're going to start with, I believe, Vanessa is going to start. Director of Vibrant Community and Neighborhoods, Vanessa Janes.
Dr. Janes.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us tonight. My name is Vanessa Janes. I'm the Director of the Department of Vibrant Community and Neighborhoods. And tonight, the golf team, the Golf Advisory Committee, along with support from a golf course design consultant, are going to present some options to address some growing safety concerns at the Lake Arbor Golf Course. 3 different architects have provided ideas on how to best address the safety issues that we're finding. One design stood out from the rest, and you're going to see kind of that design tonight as our top option, in addition to another 2 more designs that we'll talk through together. The golf team is really looking for your direction tonight before proceeding with the next steps in our work. So all of the options that you'll see are going to require additional work to get done and execute, but really tonight is meant for a discussion from you, questions from you, and some direction to move forward with this work. So before I hand it over to the team, I wanted to give each of our team members an opportunity to introduce themselves tonight. So I'll start with Joe Kunze and Steve. Come on up.
Hi there. My name is Joe Kunze. I'm the manager of golf course operations for the city of Arvada. I oversee the maintenance at Lake Arbor and Westwoods golf clubs.
Hello, Steve Lyons, golf manager. So I'm Joe's counterpart, kind of on the pro shop side, grow the game programs and player support.
All right, thanks to you both. So we also have members from GAC here tonight, so I'd like to invite them up to introduce themselves as well.
Good evening. My name's Allie Brady. Thank you for having us.
I'm Julie Rennie. Nice to meet you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pete Metropolis. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Hank Broxma. Good to see you all.
Sharon Davis. Glad to see everyone.
And I'm the new member of the team, Jim Thifault. So thank you for having us.
Well, let me start by thanking the Golf Advisory Committee. It's great. We've got so many terrific committees here at the city, but we really appreciate your volunteer efforts and look forward to hearing what the presentation is going to be tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have our design consultant here tonight. Would you like to come say hello? And he's available for questions throughout the presentation. Yep.
Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Todd Schroeder. I'm with a firm called Icon Golf Studio and Grassroots Golf Design, based right nearby in Broomfield, Colorado. And I'm a golf course architect, owner of that firm, and consulting with the city on Lake Arbor. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Great. We're ready to get started.
Very good.
So, Joe, Steve.
All right. The first slide that we'll be starting with just gives a little bit of background, some additional background to some of the safety concerns at Lake Arbor. In 2019, we had a visit from the United States Golf Association Green Section. The Green Section is a department of the USGA that is comprised of people with masters, PhDs. They are absolutely experts in the turf management side of the industry. You're able to hire the USGA to do a site visit. The city of Arvada has done that in the years 2015, 2017, and 2019, I believe. All 3 of the reports basically are comprised of their recommendations on how to improve the golf courses, whether it's playability, inviting new players to the game, just growing the game and being a steward of the environment, things like that. In all of their reports, they have come back and talked about how Lake Arbor is becoming unsafe for residents surrounding it. They use corridors and mathematical equations to determine, how wide a golf ball will fly off of line, things like that. And
They use me for those.
Yeah, exactly. And as a result of that, they identified areas on the golf course that they feel need to be addressed and need to be changed. For example, holes 14, holes 16, and hole 17 have already had new tee boxes constructed because of these recommendations. And now, as we're moving forward into the future, we're finding that it's more than just building a few tees here and there. It's all of the holes that possibly need to be looked at. So that was from the USGA. That kind of is what started this, as giving you some background on the safety concerns that have been already identified. Slide, please.
Next slide. As Joe mentioned, the USGA safety study highlighted some holes, primarily on the back nine, that needed changes, and we've addressed those with new tee boxes and locations of teeing areas. But we feel throughout the course, there are uncomfortable places that players have to play their shot, front nine, back nine, throughout the course. We've had a really a challenge on hole number 12. That was pointed out in the USGA safety study as a hole that needed some work. We actually solicited an architect to help us through those changes. We were getting a lot of complaints from players on the right side of the hole. It's a dogleg right, so players would tend to kind of cut the corner, kind of play their shots to the right side, so we were getting more balls to the right. So the architect gave us a plan to try to direct the shots more to the landing area, the designated landing area in the middle of the fairway. We changed the tee box location, put a fence in right by the tee box to restrict shots from going to the right, put bunkers down there to try to direct balls or direct aiming to the middle of the fairway. It helped. We got fewer balls to the right, but we started getting more balls to the left and complaints from the homeowners on the left. So we kind of see this problem for us as operators to try to, manage these, the homeowners' expectations. Anytime we make a change, it's going to help the homeowners on this side. The perception is that we're directing balls to the other side. So. That's why we kind of feel it needs more of a major change in the design of Lake Arbor. And really, all these problems are brought about by the players hitting longer shots now than they did in the 70s when the course was built. Technology has changed quite a bit from 74 when the Orville Moody built the course. So.
All right, next slide. Also, some of the challenges at Lake Arbor, we were still operating out of the original maintenance building when the course was built. That building is now the oldest operating building in the city of Arvada. Other things that were identified in the USGA report were the age of bunkers, and Todd can attest to this. A lot of courses do bunker renovations because sand will accumulate and things just wear out. There's a life expectancy to a lot of these things. Cart paths need to be replaced. The net along 88th is another example of things that need to be replaced. And this is just a great opportunity to at least have a plan on how we can address these items as well. And if we can lump them into a bigger vision and a bigger project for all of Lake Arbor, I think that's going to be a very efficient use of our time and resources.
Yeah, we've had trouble attracting new players and growing rounds at Lake Arbor. Through the pandemic, golf has surged. It has surged at Lake Arbor, but not as much as at Westwoods and not as much as some of the other courses have experienced. So we feel, to keep Lake Arbor a great place to play into the future, we do need to take a look at the design. And the practice areas at Lake Arbor are very limited, so we struggle with space to do grow the game and instructional programs.
Next slide, please.
We took this opportunity to solicit the pool of architects at the city that we have established through purchasing. Really, all we asked them to do was give us their ideas for what Lake Arbor could be. Todd Schroeder, Rick Phelps, and Mark Miller all then submitted their concepts of how to address the safety issues and make Lake Arbor a more playable facility.
In the February 2022 Golf Advisory Committee meeting, we presented as a group to the advisory committee these different ideas, or very rough ideas, that these architects have presented and submitted to us. After talking about current industry trends and the originality, the out-of-the-box thinking, and just the space available, we decided as a committee, or they decided as a committee, to support Todd's design because of those reasons. Next slide, please. These next few slides are, like I said, these are very general ideas. These are not plans, they're not detailed documents that we are able to, produce bids off of or anything like that. These slides just show the different options that there are by going outside of the box of an 18-hole golf course, whether it's 9, 12, an 18-hole par 3. Todd right now is designing all kinds of different courses throughout the country, ranging from 14 holes to 17 holes to 6 holes to, it's just everybody trying to, keep up with that trend of making it available to as many people as possible.
Yeah, and all these, the three designs that we have up today are all alternative golf ideas to the traditional 18 holes.
Next slide, please. That first slide was a concept of a 12-hole course. This one, for example, is a 9-hole course. Wadsworth Boulevard is on the left side of the picture. They're running north-south, obviously. There's a few little areas that we are thinking about doing a short course or a putting style course, maybe near Wadsworth, that is lighted at night, or a little bit different design to attract more than just the traditional golfer. Next slide, please. And this is the 18-hole par 3 idea. Next slide, please. This slide, one of the advisory committee members did some research. Leaf, he's not here tonight, but he provided us with some quotes and just a little bit more kind of background on industry trends. And a lot of it is moving away from that traditional 5.5-hour commitment to a round of golf. Life is moving quicker than it has in the past, and time is extremely valuable to people. So I think, they want other options rather than just one option of what they have to spend on a round of golf. Agree with that? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we're seeing particularly younger players that want a quicker golf experience. If they have 45 minutes, they would like to get out and play a few holes, which is really hard to accommodate in a traditional 18-hole course. Even 9 holes at 2 hours, 2.5 hours is too long. Somebody with a half hour or an hour at lunch they're just limited to hitting golf balls on the range, but they can't experience playing some holes, the 12-hole course idea in particular, with 6-hole loops built into it, allows people to get out and play in a short amount of time.
Next slide, please. Another idea or an example of these out-of-the-box ideas when it comes to the golf industry is Tiger Woods Design is now developing courses called Pop Stroke. It basically is taking Top Golf kind of feel with a bar and restaurant and having craft beer, just like it talks about up there, and molding that in with a short game practice facility. His designs right now consist of just putting golf courses, just 18-hole putting golf courses. And obviously, we're trying to expand on that for a little bit bigger vision for Lake Arbor with keeping it on the entire property still. So still being able to use the land that we have, but also moving along those lines as well. Next slide, please.
So this is what that what that 18-hole putting course conceptually would look like. And in the 12-hole design, with the extra space that's created by going from 18 to 12 holes, this feature could be put in kind of right along Wadsworth. So would attract a lot of attention, and we think a lot of business and revenue.
Next slide, please. Also, another opportunity is currently with the City of Westminster downtown development. There's an area that many new restaurants, hotels, apartments, it's developing very quickly, and it's right next door to Lake Arbor. I think it would be a great opportunity to draw those residents as well, while still keeping green space preserved, keeping environmental friendly areas, sustainable areas that we can use to keep that good mix of urban growth with having green space in the form of a golf course that a lot of people can enjoy and can be invited to.
Lake Arbor has a core group of regular players that do close to 40,000 rounds a year, but we think that this new concept would bring in a lot of new people into the game and to the facility.
Got a question here from.
Just a quick question, how does the redesign of the concept to like a 6 or 12, 6, 9, 12, change those 40,000 rounds in that core group of people? Are they looking for a more traditional 18-hole round? And
The core group of regulars out there?
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say for sure. I think some of them would love this idea and some wouldn't. Some would take a while to change, or maybe they would
find a new course?
Maybe, yeah, if they want to keep with traditional 18 round.
So that's a risk of the
Yes.
concept change, is you're losing those traditional, 18-hole round people that come for that kind of an experience.
Yes,
But
yes, it could be.
But what you're saying is data is showing that 5.5 hours course time is diminishing from
Yes.
number of rounds played.
Yes, and I do think it definitely would attract new players.
Yeah.
How many leave, how many come in.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I could go play 3 holes pretty easy at lunch. And lose
Yes.
5 balls. So,
Yes, well,
Senator Jones, can I address your question, please?
Sure.
I'm gonna just, if you don't guys don't mind, since I'm here. So. The idea, when we first looked at this from a design standpoint, we were asked to just, what would you do based on current trends in the golf industry to improve Lake Arbor? We had to look at it from safety, but our firm looks at it in 4 different ways. We look at it from not only safety, we look at it from community, economics, art, and environment. Those 4 underlying principles that would drove those 3 designs. Related to current industry trends. The game of golf is quickly moving away from 18-hole traditional golf all across the country. It's moving to more community-centric, environmentally sensitive, friendly golf courses that invite the public to come play. That's not what Lake Arbor is right now. It's terribly unsafe. I hate to say it, it's just terribly unsafe. It's not up to competition of what you would call a normal, traditional 18-hole golf course. There's just not enough room. When this course was built in the 70s, the corridor widths for those golf courses were 250 to 300 feet wide. Today's industry needs are 400 to 600 feet wide. That's the issue facing Lake Arbor. So what could we do from community, art, economics, and environment to make this more inviting, drive revenue, drive rounds? Yes, you will lose community core golfers. You will make them up, I'm making it up, tenfold in new players, growing the game. And that's where our designs took us, to that route to change the perception of Lake Arbor. The problems of golf: stereotype, perception, it's not inviting, cost, difficulty, time. All those things have been driving and putting the game of industry of golf down the last decade. That's why more courses are closing than opening. It's a known fact. So the game is evolving, it's changing. So you have an opportunity in front of you with potentially big changes to be a leader in the industry. And I don't know who said it, maybe Steve or Joe said that. We're doing courses, I'm doing 13-hole courses, 17-hole golf courses, 6-hole golf courses, 12 holes. So one of the concepts you saw was a 6-hole returning golf course, 12-hole, 6-hole returning, like 2 nines. You can play the whole, you can play in 2.5 hours. You can play 12 holes, have the same experience on a regulation golf course. You can increase food and beverage. You can draw more people. You can grow the game. So there's opportunity in front of you with an alternative, different mindset that provides you options. We can certainly move around the course and just make minor changes and address safety. We can make it better. Yeah, we're never going to make it perfect, but you have an opportunity to do something pretty special. So I'll leave it at that. So,
Great. Ms. Simpson, you had a question?
Yes, we noted that there's a core group of regulars that play roughly 40,000 rounds a year. I'm curious how many people that actually translates to, because obviously some people get out, do a couple of times a week. So roughly how many core regulars are we speaking about here?
Core regulars that make up the round. Well, if I had to take a guess at the core regulars, I would, the clubs are a big part of Lake Arbor Golf Course. There's 2 women's clubs and a men's club. The total numbers, in those 3 clubs would be roughly 250 players.
Okay, cool. 250 players. Overwhelmingly, most likely, they're mostly Arvadans, probably a handful of people maybe from Westminster, Federal Heights, other surrounding communities.
Yes, most of them would live very close to the golf course. Now, those 250 don't play the 40,000 rounds, but they're what I would call the core group of players at Lake Arbor.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've got a lot more thoughts, but I'll hold it for after the presentation is over.
Okay, go ahead.
Next slide, please. I'll start on this one.
Yeah, well, this kind of goes back to the core players and our hope that this new redesign of Lake Arbor would bring in new players to the game. So the design would include a very junior-friendly little 3-hole loop. It's very hard to get juniors course access when you're teeing players off nonstop, but this would be a separate 3-hole loop. It would be a concept that we would love to have in there. And the 18-hole putting course, I mean, that's kind of a top golf feel. You don't have to be a golfer to enjoy coming out to a facility to putt 18 holes. So we think it would bring a lot of new people into the game.
And I keep saying, like, thinking out of the box, but this is a method that we can, like Steve said, bring, the whole family in, or anybody that's interested can come and enjoy as much of the game as they want, whether it's a half hour on the putting greens or hitting balls on the range, where they're not under that pressure on a Saturday morning in front of a packed golf course of seasoned players, where, there is that feeling of uncomfortability a little bit when that person's pushing you from behind, and you're trying to learn the game. So, you know, forming that bridge to open this up to absolute anyone, I think is a great opportunity for this project.
So I just want to let council know that we can provide participant data for you after the workshop if you'd like to dig into some of the numbers about who's playing at Lake Arbor, et cetera.
Thank you. Next slide, please. This slide, we're going to invite committee members just to make a statement or two apiece. So, who would like to start? I'll start. Go ahead.
It's because I'm so bashful, right? I'm a 20-some-year-old Arvada resident for 20-some years. I love Lake Arbor. I love Lake Arbor. But it needs change. And when I go to play there and talk to people, they love Lake Arbor. I mean, there's something about Lake Arbor that they love, but they don't know what's the future. And the future is going to be to grow the game. And the concept that Todd has prepared for us is a really good avenue for us to pursue. So the entire committee unanimously approved his concept.
Right. Anybody else from the committee like to give us their thoughts?
So I'll use my family as an example of kind of how I see us potentially using Lake Arbor. Right now, we won't go to Lake Arbor. I'm a casual golfer, but I'm a new mom. I have 2 little ones at home. My husband's a terrible golfer, but he likes to do it. He's dangerous. He's dangerous on the golf course. He's hitting houses and dogs and people. And that's why Lake Arbor isn't workable for us. I love the new concept because we have an opportunity to go out as a family. We can raise our kids and teach them how to play on that short 3-hole golf course where they're not just going to hear, we got to keep up the pace of play, we got to keep up the pace of play because people are behind us. And they can grow to love it in an environment that nurtures golf and nurtures an ability to grow and to learn to love the game instead of just keep up the pace of play. And then having a shorter golf course also makes it safer and means my husband isn't going to be hitting random people and I'm not going to be mad at him and it's going to be a better experience all around. So I love the new concept. I really hope you'll consider it.
Okay, we should do it just to keep peace in your household.
Please.
Council, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to bring together community, grow your diversity and equity and inclusivity program for the game of golf in the city of Arvada. What this does is it brings together a golden thread that can thread through all of the different community goals that you have. And also, we dream big and we deliver. And here's a wonderful opportunity for the city of Arvada to do something exciting, equitable, and is going to really draw people to Arvada, make it a destination for golf for Arvada. Not just a place to pass through and pass by, but to come and enjoy a wonderful golf experience.
Right, thanks.
Hi. What I brought up was when I was first interviewing for the GAC committee, one of the committee members asked me, Julie, what would you do about Lake Arbor? And the first thing I said was, I'd change it to a par 3 and add lights. And she asked me why, and I brought it up to her and I said, we had a place in California, it was called Hartwell Park, and that's where I started to play. I started there, it was busy. I mean, it was busy. It was dads with their sons. They had a working women's group on Wednesday night that we would go there and play. And again, I'm not promoting that we add lights to Lake Arbor, but I'm thinking that these ideas that Todd has come up with will bring younger, newer golfers to this area, that definitely would go ahead and expand us and include more of the community, more outside of the community, because nobody else is offering this. So again, I'm going to stick with my goal. If they want to go 6 holes, 12 holes, 9 holes, 3 holes, I think the change, no matter what the council decides to do, will be a good one.
Thank you.
Hi. Again, my name's Pete Metropolis. I've lived in Arvada now for 30-some years. Kids grew up here. It's just been a wonderful community. Thank you all for what you've done to sustain that for us. A couple of thoughts that kind of come to mind for me. When I first heard of the changes to an 18-hole golf course, as a boomer, that was off-putting for me. I don't like change. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of began to think of, well, what would it do, particularly to introduce younger people to the game? And I live very close to the Apex Center, and I've seen what the Apex Center has done in the skate park to bring young kids to those grounds and to be exercising enthusiastically. No matter what the weather is, those kids are out there. And I think that there could be some parallels in what we may be able to do with this course to invite that same condition. Thanks very much.
Right, thank you.
So as I mentioned earlier, tonight's my first meeting. So this is the first that I've really heard of any of this, and I've been really impressed. I lived in Arvada, except for a handful of years, since 1960, and have seen the lake arbors and the Indian trees and the Westwoods and watched them grow. And the one thing about Lake Arbor is it's obvious it needs change. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, really what we're looking for tonight is just your blessing as the council to let us move forward with this. Just listening to Todd in the few minutes that he was up here, I think I'm just really impressed with his ideas and what he's done around the country, and some different ideas and options that you can bring into this that provide revenue stream. And that obviously is what Lake Arbor, we have the place, so let's just find a way to build revenue stream in it. So thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Archer, did you want to tell us about your great shots that you make at Lake Arbor?
So,
you're the only guy that hits straight enough to be able to play that course.
No, I think they changed hole 12 because of me, actually. Well, there were 2 slides left, but actually the team did a wonderful job kind of wrapping it all up. So my goal was just to basically ask for direction. So really that's why we're coming to council tonight. You've heard that the team has been working on the safety concerns for many years, and they will continue to do that no matter what happens tonight. But ultimately, if City Council likes the new plan, we will then take the next step. So we have some budget set aside. We certainly would involve the community, certainly leverage the expertise of our GAC members, and perform a feasibility and a market study, and then come back to City Council with direction from there. If Council's not excited about this, or certainly feels like we're taking too big of a leap, we would shift these dollars to our safety and continue with that process. So the final slide really talks about the future of Lake Arbor and what we as a team see, an exciting, safe, comfortable place, maybe a trendsetter in the industry, certainly new for Colorado, not necessarily new across the United States, but new around here. Something fun, recreational. You hear Topgolf thrown around a lot. Certainly this could be something similar to that, giving people that aren't necessarily golfers a place to go to experience that. We heard a little bit about movement, the hopes to get some movement in and around our community, and then, again, attract new players to the golf. So certainly that's what we're here for, and we'll take questions.
Very good. Mr. Jones, you're first.
Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation, and to the golf committee for the input and work that you've done, and to the design. I think this is a great idea. I've only played Lake Arbor a few times because they know how good I golf, and they realized that I probably was out. They needed that 600-foot parameter to keep me in the thing. But I wasn't kidding about losing 5 balls in 3 holes. But I think just the attractability of the game, and having you know, again, not that it's going to be a Top Golf, but having a different type of experience, I think will be really beneficial to those that are coming up and learning the game. So I like the idea, and I would fully support the team, you know, kind of going to that next stage of discovery and bringing back what it could possibly be.
Great. Ms. Simpson?
Thank you. So I will echo Mr. Jones's comments. I think the work here that has been done so far is excellent. Really, really thoughtful, forward-looking, got solid reasoning. So just 100% positive feedback from me in terms of all of this. But I will say, Mr. Archer, to your comment about if we're going too far, I actually don't think we're going far enough. I think this is an excellent start, but I think, to Mr. Jones' point during the discovery process, we can think even bigger, we can dream bigger and deliver more. Arvada is a dynamic city, and this site location is immediately adjacent, not just for our city, but as was noted, to the Westminster downtown. That's another city of 120,000 plus people. So you have a very densely concentrated quarter-million population right here surrounding this site. I think and it's on the Wadsworth corridor. Land on the Wadsworth corridor is extraordinarily limited, let alone good land like this. So my thought is if we are looking not at having an 18-hole course, which no, we actually have 2 of those in the city of Arvada. We have Indian Street and we have Westwoods, which are both phenomenal courses. And I like how we're trying to change up what's happening at Lake Arbor, because I don't know if we have the market share to support 3 courses doing the same thing. We need to mix it up. We need to make it different. And so my thought is if we're looking to shrink the course to 3-par or 6-par or something like that, that gives us the flexibility of this land to look at other things that might be beneficial for our community, things that we absolutely need that we don't currently have for this quarter million people surrounding it. So my challenge to the team is during this discovery process is to think even bigger about things we could be doing with this site, and you know, just simply alternative ideas. You know, we have a putt-putt at 3 course and something else that we don't currently have. It's broad, it's open, and if we're doing this process anyways, let's not close down other options that might be available if it's to vote on that. So that's my feedback.
Very good. Mr. Marriott?
Thank you. So I'd have to say I have kind of some mixed feelings about this. You know, some positive, some cautious, I would say. You know, my experience is in playing golf that there's plenty of old, tight, small golf courses that function really well. I don't dispute that changes need to be made over time, particularly, thank goodness, the equipment has improved, and as we get older, we can still play like we played when we were younger, but the fears that I have are a couple things. One is the group that plays there a lot, you know, I think that matters. I think, you know, I've played at Lake Arbor Golf Course since it opened 50 years ago. And so, maybe not quite that long, but at least 45. But I think those things need to be taken into account. I think the unconventionalness of chopping an 18-hole course into something smaller, I think that's a step we need to take carefully, because I think that can just as easily be negative as positive. I get the whole 5.5-hour rounds and 18 holes in your day, but a lot of people play 9 too, you know, and so you do have some options there. I think other options are fine. A couple of the features that I see here that worry me just a little bit are, you know, if it becomes 12 holes instead of 18 holes, you know, what's the public's expectation of what they should pay for that? Because I don't think if we go from 18 holes to 12 holes, our costs necessarily get much less. I think, you know, maybe some irrigated turf can go away, but it's not a lot, you know, I mean, it's not a giant cost difference. But if the expectations of the market are that this ought to be a lot cheaper because it's only 12 holes, that could put us on the wrong side of a financial equation. I also worry about, you know, course capacity and you know, maybe Lake Arbor's not full all that often, but on a Friday or a Saturday or a nice day when you want to play golf, it still seems that it's very difficult for you to show up and play golf. If you plan ahead a week in advance, you can always do it. But I think there's a pretty good segment that doesn't do that. And so you take 18 holes, make it 12 holes. You've taken about a third of the capacity out of the golf course because you can't have as many people out there. You know, you still, the pace of play and the number of people who can be on one hole at one time is fixed by the number of holes. So I worry about that too. And then, you know, my experience with a kids course, years ago, Willis Case built a kids course, and there was a Grow the Game or a kids introduction to golf movement back in those days. And they built a really nice, super deluxe, you know, City of Denver, you know, money was definitely not a constraint to them. And my observation was it almost never got used. I mean, it seemed like it was very unused, very underused, based on the amount of resources that went in it, the amount of space it took up. So I think some of those ideas that seem great in your head about, oh, we'll build a place for kids to go play, may be better in theory than actual execution. So I would just want us to tread carefully there as we start looking at taking 6 holes off of the regular course so that we can have some alternative courses. And honestly, I like the alternative ability ways to play, whether it's play 3 holes, play 6 holes. I like that, but I just, again, I think we need to tread carefully there and go on real data and real experiences and not what we wish would happen, which I think sometimes can happen. And then lastly, you know, with putting in, I would be a huge fan of putting in, if you want to call it, Topgolf type features. But I think that's an operational thing as much as a facility thing, or maybe even more over time of a facility thing. I think it's a great idea because I think that really attracts people. But just expanding a putting green and putting some lights on a putting green or some things, I mean, you know, you can put the windmill in the moat, you know, and it doesn't necessarily draw more people or add value. And, you know, Highland Hills, in very close proximity to here, has one of those. I don't know how it does, but I wouldn't call that itself a feature. Now, if you can take the driving range and make it Topgolf style, where you put some targets out there and maybe put 2 levels on it and have food and beverage service added and music or you know, whatever electronics, you know, whatever the secret sauce that Topgolf seems to have. I think that's a huge possible win there. You know, kind of a miniature version of that. I think that could draw just tons and tons of people. And of course, you could expand your operational hours because those operate at night. Lots of good with that. But I think that's really a big operational challenge, much more than a capital construction challenge, because you just build it once, but you got to operate it every single day. And so I think that takes a really giant commitment to do, and kind of a business case is what I would want to see for something like that. So anyway, I boil mine down to kind of mixed feelings. I mean, there's parts of this I really like. There's parts of it I'd be pretty wary about. Personally, I don't think that the safety issues at Lake Arbor are unfixable, and particularly when it's time for refresh, I think they can be worked on and adjusted and probably continually improved. So I wouldn't necessarily be in the mind that we have to make radical changes. If the case can be made where there's such a good opportunity for these radical changes, then I think it is. But anyway, that's my comments, just to proceed cautiously, try to really work through data and what actually might happen, not what we wish might happen.
Good. Mr. Pfeiffer?
So I think it's a great idea. We need to do something different to keep people active in our communities at different ages, and I do like the concept of it. I would want to see a business case on the different options, because we don't want to scope creep too much where the city's doing all of the entertainment now. I think that might look at partnerships coming in and helping out with that. So the 90,000 that was suggested here, what is that for? Was it Brian, I guess?
So that'd be to continue on the process. So to do the analysis, to do market study, to possibly do a feasibility study on the designs that were out there.
So it'd be based on these specific designs?
Not necessarily. Just that these are just concepts. So it would be to continue to go with that. I mean, we've got to pay Todd and other team members to do more than just generate ideas.
Yeah, I think I'm supportive of trying to figure out something. I think the council needs to start talking a little bit more broadly of kind of all of our property and everything we're doing at every location, not just here. I would encourage that council have a additional conversation as well. I know that's not the feedback this team would want right now, but I like the concept. I like the idea. I think council needs to have some more discussion around our inventory, because we have a lot of property out there and we should think about it more broadly. That's kind of my thoughts right now. $90,000, I'm not sure I want to spend that just yet until the council had that conversation. So that would be my recommendation.
Ms. Smith?
This is very timely because a business person asked if they wanted me to meet them to go play a round of golf, and that terrified me. And I've only worked, I was 17 years old, and I was the beer lady that would pass out beer on the cart. That is the extent of what I've done. So I kind of identified what you were talking about of just, there's a certain demographic and type of golfer, and you're just uncomfortable trying to step into that arena or into that course. And I think what you're proposing and what you're discussing is really opening the doors for not just junior or young kids, people like me that said, yeah, I'd love to play a round of golf, don't know how, but have to figure it out. And I think this is giving an opportunity to explore that and make it a more inclusive environment. And I think it was to Councilmember Simpson's point, we do have two others, so changing up the desire for people to go to Lake Arbor for something new, something innovative, something fun, I think there's a lot of potential there. And the other thing I just wanted to note was looking at, if you were to change the concept, looking at partnerships of where you could actually work with Apex or schools or nonprofits to collaborate on some of those concepts and developments. The food and patio with the open space I think is great, because if there's people that don't play golf, they can still hang out, they can still enjoy some time while the others do. And just to Councilmember Pfeiffer's point, just wanting to see a little more of that business case. And then also, you mentioned one of the 4 pillars is the sustainability component, but didn't really see or hear that. So if there's just a way to explain, how that's being incorporated, it would be helpful. And that's it.
Mr. Mormon?
Well, first of all, thank you for bringing this forward. I appreciate all the time and effort you put into it, and really like the creativity behind it. So I think, as echoed some of the comments of other council members, thinking outside the box, it's obviously time to do that for Lake Arbor, and so I'm excited to see us move forward and think outside the box. I will also share some of the concerns about thinking about all of our property and how this kind of fits together into a larger plan. So I'd like to have our council have that conversation too, in that context. But with that, I again really am excited by the ideas that you have brought forward. And I'm not a golfer, so my advice, I could probably count on my hands how many times I played putt-putt. But I think, doing the market analysis will be really crucial in getting out and surveying our community and really finding out what they're interested in and attracted to. Because, what you presented tonight, I think, to me, that's interesting, but I'm not quite sure you've got me sold on actually coming and trying it out yet. So just kind of how that market and business plan come together, I think will be really important. Thank you.
I guess my takeaway is that I think there's a pretty clear case that's been made that we need to do something different at Lake Arbor. These concepts are good ones. I think they should be explored. I think we do need to do the business case. I appreciate Mr. Marriott being a little bit of a wet blanket to let's slow down and make sure we're thinking this. He's fulfilling his role as the council. The role of Don Howard is being played tonight, but I think we should proceed with appropriate diligence, but I think that the discussion of we need to look at our other properties, how do these puzzle pieces all fit together, is going to be important as part of this discussion. But I don't think we just say stop. I think continue to explore, and I think there's some great creative ideas here, and golf has changed. I live at Westwoods. I think as what I don't want to see happen is that we say, okay, we're going to shut down Lake Arbor Golf Course and build a bunch of housing or something. I think that would be absolutely stupid, and would get everybody on council recalled. So I wouldn't encourage doing that. I think you do need to talk to our core golfers out there and explore their reaction. Some of them are going to be pretty negative, and others will be, yeah, this is the way it needs to move forward, and be excited by it. So great work by everybody. It's good discussion. Mr. Devon, does that give you adequate direction?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. James, do you have enough to move forward? Very good. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Mr. Devon, do you have anything else for us tonight?
The only thing I'd like to remind council about is that we have the city open house on Saturday. And we'd love to see you all there if you have an opportunity to come. And we look forward to the community coming as well. So,
Mr. Devon, why don't you say the hours and sort of what people can expect? Uh-oh.
We'll have somebody that knows.
Rachel Kay, tell us.
Hi. The hours are Saturday, May 14th, 9 to 2. We'll have many city divisions here with information, activities like a face painter and balloon artist. We'll have trucks that people, I don't think you can drive the trucks, but you can touch them. So, and the block party trailer will be here. So it'll be a fun time, and there'll be grilling. So if you want to come and sling some burgers and dogs, that starts at 10:30.
Great. Thank you. We stand adjourned.